If you've ever considered becoming a certified restaurant broker, here's a perk you might not expect. Eating your way through some of the best food in the world and calling it research. For those of us in the business of buying and selling restaurants, every meal is an opportunity to learn. Whether it's a roadside cafe in Tuscany or a Michelin-starred dining room in Milan, the restaurant industry speaks a universal language. And part of a restaurant broker's role is knowing how to interpret it. On a recent trip to Italy, we had the chance to reflect on that idea. From ancient food counters in Pompeii to family-run vineyards in Tremonti and island fish restaurants accessible only by boat, this was a journey that reminded me just how deep the roots of hospitality run, and how every plate has something to teach us. For restaurant brokers, these experiences aren't just pleasurable, they're professional. Restaurant brokers succeed when they can articulate value to buyers. That includes understanding the cultural, culinary, and operational elements that define restaurant excellence. Travel like this isn't indulgence, it's insight. Why travel matters to a restaurant broker. While many professions require continuing education, few are as deliciously immersive as this one. When restaurant brokers travel, they don't just visit tourist attractions. They study how menus are crafted. They notice flow, layout, and service patterns. They observe kitchen efficiency, staff demeanor, and the subtle art of pacing a meal. And because food is a product of place, traveling allows restaurant brokers to stay in tune with global trends, regional preferences, and timeless standards. It's not just a vacation, it's professional development. Broker insight. The restaurants we tour abroad often mirror buyer demands at home. Authenticity, high-quality execution, and a story that resonates. A visit to the oldest restaurant model in history, our first stop was Pompeii, just outside of Naples. While most visitors are captivated by the ruins, what stood out to me as a broker was something else entirely, a Thermopolium. What is it? It is an ancient roadside food stand that was essentially a quick-service restaurant, dating back to Roman times. Built-in soup urns lined the stone counters, and it was clear from the layout that customers were served hot meals on the go. What I noticed as a broker. The layout prioritized speed, visibility, and service flow, an ancient solution to the same problems fast casual brands face today. Tremonti, where farm-to-table isn't a trend. On day 2, we traveled deep into the countryside of Tremonti. There, a small farm and vineyard hosted no more than a dozen guests at a time. The volcanic ash deposited on the region has led to incredibly fertile grounds where they grow the grapes for the wine, the fresh tomatoes and zucchini for the food, and the goats for the cheese. Each course featured freshly harvested vegetables, handmade cheeses, and wine aged just a few feet away from our table. What I noticed as a broker. Limiting service to a few guests didn't reduce value, it enhanced it. The controlled scale allowed for hyper-customization and strong margins. Capri by boat, salt-baked simplicity. One of the most memorable meals came after a boat ride to the island of Capri. Our local guide, Mario, directed us to a restaurant accessible only by water taxi. Once we arrived, the staff prepared salt-baked fish, a dish that felt both rustic and refined. The fish is packed in a crust of sea salt and slow roasted, allowing the meat to steam in its own juices. What I noticed as a broker. The salt crust reveal transformed a simple dish into an event, proof that a memorable moment can elevate a menu. Cliffside gems in Sorrento. That's how we ended up at a Cliffside bar in Sorrento, perched high above the water with seating for no more than a dozen people. There was no reservation system, just a few locals, a view to remember, and a small kitchen serving fresh focaccia, olives, and Aperol spritzes. What I noticed as a broker. High turnover wasn't the goal. Retention, hospitality, and a stunning setting justified the price point. Donna Sofia, black buffalo cheese and a broker's palate. One standout dinner was at Donna Sofia, a restaurant named in honor of Sophia Loren. The risotto? A revelation. It arrived topped with raw shrimp, black buffalo cheese, and slivered almonds. What I noticed as a broker. Signature dishes define brands. This risotto wasn't just delicious. It was the restaurant's identity in a bowl. Tomatoes, pasta, and the foundation of flavor. Throughout the trip, pasta was a constant. Always fresh, always handmade. But what changed from dish to dish was the tomato. Our driver explained how volcanic soil impacts flavor and how different varieties are used for specific sauces. What I noticed as a broker. The simplest dishes revealed the most. Quality, sourcing, and restraint can outshine complexity. Naples, the birthplace of pizza. On our final night, we visited L'Antica Pizzeria da Michele, founded in 1870, and widely considered one of the best pizza restaurants in the world. They serve just two options, margherita or marinara. Thin crust, fired fast, and served within seconds. There are no gimmicks here, just simplicity done with perfection. What I noticed as a broker, longevity in a restaurant comes from doing one thing exceptionally well and doing it consistently. From Italy to the US, what restaurant brokers can apply? This wasn't just a food lover's dream. It was a masterclass in what makes restaurants succeed. Authenticity sells. Restaurants grounded in place and tradition stand out. Small footprint, big experience. Square footage matters less than execution. Signature dishes. Drive branding. Know what makes a menu memorable. Pacing is strategy. Dining flow and table turns impact profitability. Moments matter. A dish reveal or a unique wine pour can be the thing a customer tells everyone about. For brokers, seeing these principles in action reinforces why attention to detail makes such a difference. Lessons from the Italian table. Traveling through Italy underscored what we already know as certified restaurant brokers. Great restaurants don't just serve food. They tell stories, they reflect culture, they invite people to stay a while. This trip offered more than beautiful meals and scenic views. It reinforced the core principles of hospitality and the value of first-hand experience. For those considering this career, it's a reminder that becoming a restaurant broker isn't just about business. It's about understanding the soul of the industry. Final thought. Travel makes brokers better. It sharpens instincts, teaches subtlety, and reconnects us with why we do this work in the first place. And sometimes, that understanding begins with a simple bite of pizza in Naples.